While the internet spent the last 2 weeks debating a man's weight, the Cleveland Browns quietly made a series of moves that could reshape this franchise for the next decade. And nobody is connecting all the dots. So let's do that right now. First, let's get the noise out of the way, because it genuinely deserves about 30 seconds and not a single second more. Yes, Shedeur Sanders looks different this offseason. Leaner, sharper. The side-by-side comparisons from his rookie year to now are striking and visible to anyone paying attention. And somehow, a portion of the football media landscape looked at that transformation and decided the story was suspicion rather than sacrifice. We already addressed the PED narrative and what it says about the people pushing it. What I want to focus on today is what's actually happening inside that Browns facility, because the real story is significantly more interesting than anything trending on social media right now. Todd Monken did not give generic coach speak when he talked about Shedeur this offseason. He didn't say, "Great kid, very coachable, excited to work with him." He said something specific and pointed, that Shedeur walked into that building understanding exactly where he is and where he needs to get to. That's evaluation language. That's a head coach telling you this quarterback came in self-aware, locked in, and ready to work rather than arriving with the attitude of someone who thinks they've already figured out. Monken has been in enough quarterback rooms to know the difference between a young player who gets it and one who's just performing for the cameras. He's describing a guy who gets it. And then there's the contrast that nobody is talking about loudly enough. Dillon Gabriel, as of the time these reports came out, had not been seen in the building. Not once. Monken said it plainly, he had not seen Dillon yet. And Deshaun Watson, while he's had some contact with coaches, has had a presence that's been inconsistent at best. Meanwhile, Shedeur has been there every single day. Early. Consistently. The guy who got called a fifth-round afterthought, the guy whose weight became a trending topic, is the one putting in the invisible work before anyone is watching and before anyone is clapping. In the NFL, the quarterback who's in the film room at 7 in the morning, while everyone else is still deciding what to have for breakfast, is already winning a competition that won't officially start for months. That's not a small advantage. That's the kind of advantage that compounds quietly until one day the decision isn't even close. Now let's talk about what the physical transformation actually tells us, because some of the conversation around it, underneath all the noise, raises a legitimate football question worth addressing honestly. The leaner frame is visible, and the work behind it is undeniable. Discipline like that doesn't happen by accident. You don't accidentally show up to voluntary workouts with that kind of consistency month after month. That's a deliberate decision made repeatedly when nobody is filming anything and nobody is offering praise. That's someone who looked at his rookie year, absorbed every lesson it offered, and decided year 2 was going to be built differently from a foundation up. That's exactly the mentality you want from a young quarterback who has something to prove. The legitimate counter-question, and I'll give it its fair due, is durability. The NFL isn't gentle with quarterbacks. When that offensive line breaks down, and offensive lines always break down at some point, Shedeur needs to be able to absorb punishment from 300-pound defensive linemen and bounce back up like it meant nothing. The goal was never to look a certain way in a hoodie. The goal is to still be standing and functional in the fourth quarter of a November game that matters. If the transformation was managed intelligently, and every indication from the people actually in that building suggests it was, then this is a non-issue. But it's worth naming because the people who raised it weren't entirely wrong to ask the question. They were just wrong about what was causing it. Here's the question nobody wants to say out loud, but everyone who's been watching this situation honestly has already asked themselves. Has the starting job already been decided without anyone making an official announcement? Think about everything we actually know. Shedeur has been in the building every single day since the offseason started. He finished last year strong, 3 wins as a starter, back-to-back victories over Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, the only consecutive wins this team managed all season. Monken has known about Shedeur since his Georgia recruitment days and reportedly wanted to draft him when he was in Baltimore. Watson's situation is complicated, expensive, and medically uncertain. Gabriel hasn't been around. You don't need to be a football genius to read that room. The guy everyone spent the winter doubting is quietly lapping the field while the debate about him continues on the outside. The building has already moved on from the debate. The outside world just hasn't caught up yet. One more detail worth acknowledging, and I know it sounds like a small thing, but athletes will tell you it isn't. Shedeur got his number back. Number 2. His number. The one he wore at Colorado. Under the previous situation he was wearing 12, and it just wasn't him. Sounds like a footnote. But identity and confidence and comfort are deeply connected to the little details in ways that compound over a long season. Swagger at the quarterback position isn't arrogance. It's the thing that makes 10 other men in a huddle believe before a word is spoken. Shedeur Sanders walking into that huddle with his number, in his system, with his coaching staff, operating as the unquestioned leader of that offense. That's a different player than the one who sat forth on a depth chart in the summer of 2025. That transformation isn't just physical. It's complete. Now, let's shift to the other thing that has every Browns fan's calendar circled, because Thursday night isn't just draft night this year. It's a decision that could genuinely shape the direction of this franchise for the next 10 years. And here's the take that's going to make some of you uncomfortable. The smartest move Andrew Berry might make on Thursday night is giving away the 6th overall pick. Let that breathe for a second. Here's what's reportedly been in discussion. Cleveland reaches out to the Dallas Cowboys, who have real defensive needs and real motivation to move up. The Browns send picks 6 and 39 to Dallas and come back with picks 12 and 20. On the surface, that sounds like you're getting less. You're moving back 6 spots. But now, combine pick 12 and pick 20 with Cleveland's existing 24th selection, and what you're looking at is 3 first-round picks in a single night. 3 swings. 3 potential starters. 3 opportunities to fundamentally reshape a roster that has real holes in multiple places. That's not a draft. That's a restock. Think about what this franchise actually needs right now. A left tackle who can genuinely protect the quarterback and hold up over a full season. A wide receiver who can threaten the field vertically and give Monken's offense the dimension it needs to operate at its highest level. Defensive reinforcement in a division that punishes weakness every single week. 1 pick at number 6, no matter how talented that player is, doesn't solve all of that. 3 first-round selections just might. The 2 names generating the most serious buzz in connection with this strategy are worth knowing before Thursday. Coton Proctor is a player who fits the Cleveland mold and could be right there waiting if the Browns navigate this trade the way they're planning. Then there's Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State, a wide receiver with the kind of speed that makes defensive coordinators lose sleep before kickoff. Tyson can take the top completely off a secondary, which immediately opens running lanes and short area passing for everyone else around him. He's not just a straight-line burner either. He has the hands to win in traffic, the route-running IQ to set up defenders before they know what hit them, and the competitive edge that shows up on every snap regardless of the situation. The concern with Tyson is injury history, which has some teams hesitant, meaning he could be available at 20 or 24 at a value that doesn't match his talent level. If Cleveland's medical staff clears him, and he's still on the board, that's the kind of find that turns a solid draft into a franchise-altering one. Pair him with a franchise left tackle at 12, and you've just completely changed the geometry of what Shedeur Sanders is operating within. 2 foundational pieces, one night. That's the version of Thursday that Browns fans have been waiting years to experience. But let's be honest about the risk, because this plan is not without real danger, and I'd be doing you a disservice if I glossed over it. The NFL draft is unpredictable in the cruelest ways imaginable. The player Cleveland has been targeting for months gets taken 2 picks before they're on the clock. The tackle grabbed at 12 has footwork issues that didn't show up on tape. The receiver taken at 20 re-injures his knee in training camp before playing a single snap. And somewhere else in the league, the player who is sitting at number 6, the one Berry traded away, is making Pro Bowls for someone else. That nightmare scenario is exactly why general managers age visibly on draft night. It's why this decision is keeping people awake in Cleveland right now. Because if you give away a top 10 pick and miss on 2 or 3 of the picks you receive in return, you haven't just had a bad draft. You've potentially set this organization back multiple years during the exact window when a young quarterback needs to be surrounded by talent to develop fully. The margin for error here is razor thin. This isn't the kind of move you make halfway or with any ambiguity in your evaluation process. You have to trust your scouts. You have to trust your medical staff. You have to trust that the people making these calls have done every piece of homework available to them. That's a significant amount of trust, and Browns fans know better than most what it feels like when that trust doesn't get rewarded. So here's how it actually breaks down. Best case, Cleveland makes the deal, slides to 12, and grabs a franchise left tackle who protects the quarterback for the next decade. Then they double-dip at 20 and 24 with a dynamic receiver and a defender who immediately upgrades a unit that needs it. The locker room gets infused with real, day-one contributing talent. The offense around Shedeur Sanders suddenly looks like something defenses have to genuinely game plan for. And for the first time in a long time, the Browns walk away from draft night looking like an organization that not only has a plan, but executed it. Worst case, the board doesn't cooperate, the players they targeted are gone, the ones they settle for don't develop, and the player at number 6 spends the next 8 years making someone else's highlight reel. One of those roads leads toward a legitimate playoff contender. The other leads right back to the same frustrated conversations Browns fans have been having for longer than anyone wants to count. Andrew Berry knows which road he wants. Thursday night, we find out if the board gives it to him. If you want to be right here when it happens, when every pick drops and we break down exactly what it means for Shedeur and this roster, make sure you're subscribed to Browns Breakout and drop a like on this video so the algorithm knows to put this in front of every real Browns fan who deserves to know what's actually going on. This franchise is at a genuine crossroads. The quarterback is ready. The capital is in hand. Thursday night, we find out if the front office is ready too.